Welcome back to Whiteboard Wednesday. Mike Cromwell.
Brian DeVault.
3 episodes ago, we talked about 8 tenets of project management and how that sets a critical foundation for any technology project. We talked about the first 2 tenets in the subsequent episodes. And today, if I recall, in the first time we talked about it, if I recall, Brian, you said this is where the fun starts.
That's right.
So I guess if you're in project management, this is fun. So walk us through what the components of successful execution are as it relates to project management.
So at this point, we've been through the project initiation. We've been through the project planning where we really drove some detail into what we were doing, right? And so now it's time to execute. It's time to take action, right? So once the project starts, we're managing people largely, right? So you're managing their day-to-day tasks and what they're responsible for, what they're getting done, getting information back from them so that you can update your tasks within the project plan. And you're just kind of managing the moving ball of wax. And so we're doing things like schedule performance. So we're looking at it on a daily basis to say, here's what we plan to have done by this point in time, and here's what we've actually gotten done. And sometimes you have to rearrange tasks as you're going through the process, because maybe a dependency is not completed on time. So this is kind of a dynamic process that the project manager is responsible for, just to make sure that we meet the overall goals and objectives. So you're conducting weekly meetings, maybe even bi-weekly, depending on how frequently you need to communicate with the project team. And this helps you kind of stay on task, right? So we're saying, here we are, team, here's what we've completed. Here's our performance based on our schedule. Here's our performance based on our budget, some of those reporting activities. And then we're providing status updates to project sponsors and to the project team. And so let's say, for instance, I have a project sponsor, Mike, that maybe you have implemented a project for your business, and you're interested in a very summary level type report. So here I've got a bullet point for producing some summary reporting. You don't want to read all the detail, and you're not necessarily interested in it. But certain members of the team would be interested in project budget and scheduling and some of the other aspects. Help you keep the project on time, on schedule, on budget, and meet everyone's expectations.
And you'll customize that depending upon the project and the client needs.
For sure. And we have default templates that drive the data, but the analysis that you provide is a little different based on who you're reporting that information to.
Well, the funny thing is, I've always been a student of execution. And there are key components of execution that I'm hearing here that are consistent with any type of execution in business. And it's, you gotta have a cadence, you gotta have clearly defined goals, KPIs, and you gotta make it highly visible.
Yeah, and you got to communicate them.
Right. Yep.
And a lot of what project management is about communication.
Right.
Much like we've talked about how communication is the key factor for most successful engagements.
You've been on both sides of project management. Where do you see other companies that can't execute on this front?
They cannot execute?
Where do they get it wrong? And what should clients be looking for to determine if somebody knows how to execute a project management plan?
You remember at a previous episode, you asked me what the attributes of a good project manager would be. And I said organization, organization, organization. It's all of those things, as well as the formalization of the plan, right? It's writing it down, documenting it, memorializing that plan on paper, and then sticking to it and being able to execute against that overall plan. And it really takes, we mentioned how it's typically not successful if you don't have someone who's full-time dedicated to that responsibility, because it really requires them to touch it every day and understand where task progress is on a daily basis and how that affects the next day or the coming week and those types of things.
Well, there you have it, folks. The execution component. Next week on Whiteboard Wednesday, we're going to talk about resource leveling, and look forward to having you tune in again. If you have suggestions for us for forthcoming Whiteboard Wednesday, add it in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next week's Whiteboard Wednesday.